All right, I think we're good. Hello, everybody. It's Mario here. Hope you're doing well. Hope the first week of the new year is going well for you. Hope your gym is not too packed. Hope your squat rack is not too crowded with all the guys curling in there. And don't worry about it. Just a couple of weeks, all gonna be back to normal. But speaking about goal setting, speaking about New Year and New Year's resolutions and how to achieve a certain goal, that's what inspired me to do this video. This video is going to be a little bit about psychology of goal setting, what are some of the best methods out there backed by science that you can use to set goals, as well as what are some of the big boulders in terms of fat loss that you should focus this year on. And the reason why I picked fat loss, and don't worry about it if your goal is lean gaining and bulking and all of that. I'm going to be talking about more of that in the future videos, but I want to focus on fat loss because the first thing that inspired me to do this video was I got about, let's say, 50 emails or so just in the last 24 hours talking about fat loss and talking about fat loss goals and guys and girls who want to achieve a transformation this year. So I want to put this video out there to address a common mistake that I see with their goal setting, as well as give them a little bit of a clearer picture of what they should be doing to achieve that goal. So we're going to focus a little bit on fat loss. And a lot of the goal setting, of course, it will apply for all of you guys that are looking to lean gaining, bulking, gaining weight, and all of that. So going back to goal setting, as I said, this video is more psychological and scientific. So if you're just looking for a magic pill, quick fix, some kind of magical cat video with a lot of dopamine hits to spark your dopamine addiction that you have through social media, it's probably not the right video for you. So you can just kind of find something else if you're truly not interested in reaching your goals. But if you are, this is the right place to be. So let's talk a bit about goal setting. Common mistake. I see this across the board. It's not just this year, but I see this happen every single year, not just in social media, but also in person. And that is being outcome driven, right? Just simply thinking about the outcome. And the email, subject of the email, losing 30 pounds. Facebook status update, I want to lose 50 pounds. Inside of the email, I want to get to 10% body fat, right? It's always outcome driven, right? It's always thinking about that outcome. Rarely, I don't think I've got a single email ever, anybody ever asked me, what do I need to do on a day-to-day basis to get to this in 6 months? Almost nobody's thinking like that. Nobody's thinking about the specific behaviors, what they need to go through to reach that outcome, to reach that end goal. And it's kind of interesting when we think about that a little bit. And it can be a number of reasons. One specific reason that I can think of is that the day-to-day boring stuff isn't very sexy and isn't very fantasy, instant gratifying, and getting you all that positive emotion is thinking about just achieving that end goal. So people are afraid of that reality check. Because there's a reality check. It's gonna be freaking hard. It's not gonna be easy to reach that goal. If it was easy, everybody would be walking around with six packs. And how many people do you see? I mean, let's be real. We know it's not easy, but it's also not that hard. It's not impossible for sure. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people doing it, but it is important to have that reality check. And now we're bringing back to a technique actually that is backed up by a lot of research, and the technique is very, very simple. So let's say you are setting that goal of 30 pounds loss, and you kind of calculate that 30 pounds is a level where you're going to be happy with your level of body fat. And now you have imagined that future. You imagine that positive outcome. You imagine that nice little fantasy. You're walking on the beach, you're ripped, shredded. Everybody is like looking at you saying, oh, this guy is awesome. He's very disciplined. He must have worked really hard for that. You feel great about yourself, a lot of self-esteem and all that good stuff. That's awesome. But then you want to contrast that with a reality check. What is it going to take you day to day to get there? Reality check, thinking about your current reality. You might be broke right now, no money for your apartment, no money for food, no money for gym, and you gotta figure out how you're gonna surpass those obstacles to get to that 30 pounds, right? So you have, I mean, in the opposite case, you have people just thinking, well, I'm gonna reach that goal, and if you are not thinking about the specifics, how are you going to put that into an actionable plan? Because the goal is not going to achieve itself. The goal is just a direction. It's just, once you have that direction, it's practically useless anymore. It's not going to get you there. right? And what's going to get you there is your day-to-day actions. And now, speaking about goal setting, this technique is actually called mental contrasting. This was well studied. There's a study from 2011 that I'm going to link in the description below from Gabrielle Oettingen and her book, Rethinking Positive Thinking, one of the best books that you can possibly read on understanding why we do what we do and all the psychology behind positive thinking. And the reason why I love this so much is because it forces us to do a reality check. And reality checks are painful. Reality checks are not easy. Why do most people fail? Because they fail to do a reality check. And the reason why reality checks are painful is because they break that fantasy. You have that fantasy of how it's going to feel, how great you're going to feel. But if you have to think about, oh, it's going to be a pain in the ass to go to the gym, I'm going to have to lift heavy, I'm going to have to exit my comfort zone, I'm going to have to track my nutrition, I'm going to have to do all these behaviors, stay in a caloric deficit, I have to restrict myself a little bit when it comes to food, I won't be able to eat as much, I won't be able to be just loose and free all the time, then it's gonna be reducing that fantasy. It's not gonna feel as good. And that's why a lot of people are running away from this. And I mean, frankly speaking, if you look at what people are doing, I mean, we know that by, let's say, mid-March, 95% of the people that are currently setting some kind of goal related to fat loss or going to the gym or whatever it is, they're not gonna be there anymore, right? They're just gonna kind of skip over that, and next year they're gonna try again. And the one reason why they do that is because they haven't had proper expectations to begin with. They didn't know what to expect. Maybe they thought it was a straight line. Maybe they thought that they could just positively visualize it, right? Maybe they thought it was a lot easier than it actually is. Maybe they thought it was some kind of magic pill, magical solution, detox, or whatever the hell people are confusing themselves with these days. And it is important to have a very realistic viewpoint of the journey, which is essentially putting in those daily behaviors. And one of those daily behaviors, let's talk about a little bit about specifics, is knowing your caloric intake, right? Know how many calories you should be consuming to be in a caloric deficit on a weekly basis. And once you compound multiple weeks of a caloric deficit, you will experience fat loss, right? Once you get that momentum going, once the body kind of senses that trend of a caloric deficit, it is going to burn body fat to compensate for the lack of energy, for the lack of just that extra food that you're normally eating. Now it's not there, so the body has to burn fat to compensate. And then on top of that, well, there's the calories. How do you figure that out? Well, there's multiple videos. I'm going to link a couple in the description below that will guide you through a process how you can estimate that. You can use calculators, you can use self-journaling and all these other methods, and they're pretty damn accurate. So a video in the description below. Second factor, how do you ensure that you are in a caloric deficit? Well, how do you know what foods has how many calories? There you can use simple journaling. And journaling your food is one of the habits and one of the behaviors that pretty much guarantees success. Anybody who is, I've never met a single person in my whole life who journaled their food every single day and hasn't reached their goal eventually. Right? I've not met a single person who's done that. And why is that the case? Well, if you are journaling your food, it is going to automatically force you to be on track. It is going to force you to think more about your goals. It's going to refocus you every single day to be on point with your target, with your calories. And if you're not actually on your target, you know what's going to happen? It's going to cause a little bit of pain. And why is that causing a little bit of pain? Because you're not congruent. Your goal in MyFitnessPal and your specific target that you know you want to achieve and your actual actions that you're doing day to day, if they're not in congruence, it causes a little bit of pain. This is actually called a cognitive dissonance. This is a great book from 1950s written on this topic. And the reason why it's causing pain, because you know that you have a choice and you know that there are certain negative consequences for your goals if you don't adhere to the diet, and you're actually putting yourself in a situation where you're going to care more about it and you're going to do it. So journaling, an excellent habit, an excellent behavior to invest more time in and start doing. Now, another thing that is a very nice predictor of success is having sufficient amount of protein from your diet. And one reason why this is very helpful is because you're going to be able to build more muscle as you engage in resistance training. We're going to get to that. And also, it helps you feel fuller when you're in a caloric deficit. And not only that, but having more protein from your diet forces you a little bit to consume more of whole healthy foods. It forces you to think a little bit about more your food choices. And that's a very interesting way to kind of get yourself out of the habitual way of eating that you've had before, which is usually based around high carbohydrate, high fat, super palatable foods for most people. So having that higher protein intake will result in you automatically making better choices when it comes to your food. Then moving on, resistance training. And with carbs and fats, by the way, and with figuring out your macros, I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for you guys. I'm not gonna leave you hanging there so you can calculate your macros, you can figure that out. So I'm gonna leave that link there. Number 3, of course, big thing to focus on, resistance training. And why do we focus on resistance training so much? Why do we like to lift weights if the goal is to lose body fat? And why is this a great habit to have? Well, number 1, you're looking at increasing the amount of muscle mass you have. And if you do, if I could snap my fingers right now and just remove 30 pounds of fat off of you, what would your physique look like? I mean, you can literally just go from fat to skinny, right? You're any closer, you're a little bit closer to that Hollywood look or that muscular physique, but that muscle that you're looking to build, that great physique that you're looking to have, is not going to happen if there's no demand for it. Demand has to come from resistance training, putting pressure and progressively training. By progressively, I mean increasing weight, increasing load to force your body to build muscle. This is not going to happen if you don't force your body to build muscle. That's the common mistake with training, and as the biggest boulder, I would say, in training, the thing that gets you 80% of results, you can have the shittiest program in the world, the shittiest workout, like the most horrible workout plan in the world. If you're doing it, number 1, with proper technique, and number 2, if you're training progressively, if you're getting stronger, if you're increasing the load, you will make great gains in the gym. The program could be horrible. It could be all bro style, bro lift, but if you're getting eventually stronger and stronger, you will make progress with that program. Of course, we can optimize, and I've made probably about 200 videos by now on the channel about that, but still, the 2 biggest things, proper technique, proper form, so full range of motion, you know what you're doing in the gym, and number 2, you're doing progressively increasing weight, progressive overload. Basically, you're getting stronger, you're increasing the amount of volume you're doing. Final factor that I want to mention here, I don't want to make it too complicated, so we covered a little bit of nutrition, we covered a little bit of training, now we're looking at your recovery, and one big factor here is sleep. There's nothing out of anything in the world that is right now, aside from sleep, that is going to improve your life quality as much as getting an hour extra sleep if you are underslept. It is incredible how many people miss this, and I think I made about 10 videos on this, summarizing all the research studies and what happens if you don't get sleep, what happens if you do get sleep. And there's so much research and data out there. And funny enough, we live in the age of hacking our way, and there's a lot of people advocating for phasic sleep and all these other hacks. There's no hack in the world that is gonna make a person that is underslept chronically be a top high performer and get results from the gym and from fat loss and from everything if you're not getting enough sleep. We're talking about increased hunger. We're talking about less strength in the gym. We're talking about less fat burning, more muscle loss. We're talking about general feeling of well-being, which is pretty horrible. Walking around sleep deprived, that's why a lot of people are pissed off. Frankly speaking, a lot of people aren't that negative as they are, but they're so underslept and so tired and so depleted that they just can't focus. They cannot have that empathy. They cannot be happy. And it feels like we're living in the world of autism, but most of the time, people are literally just not able to get enough sleep to properly focus and to have that level of social intelligence and all these other things that are so linked with getting a proper amount of sleep, which is between 7 and 9 hours, most likely 8 to 9 if you're doing resistance training, if you're doing some athletic work, which is the goal, of course, if you're watching this video. So those are the big boulders, and I just want to summarize that for you guys just so you know what exactly to focus on. In terms of nutrition, of course, I want to mention that most of your food should come from whole, healthy, unprocessed sources. We're talking about fruits, veggies, lean protein sources, and those things will give you the maximum amount of results for almost minimum effort. Those are the things that will give you that 80%, 4 to 20% invested effort. But going back to goal setting, why am I talking about these very specific things? And going back to behavior, well, your day, your 24 hours, the way you design your day, you want to make sure that you know exactly when, how, what, and with who is this going to happen? So when are you going to gym? Know exactly when that's going to happen. Monday, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's say that's your schedule. What time? With who? Which gym? Exactly what's going to happen on that day. What's the plan? Have that clear vision, have that clear plan. That will automatically ensure that you get there on time, and you will know exactly what you need to execute. Additionally, with nutrition, have an idea. Have an idea what you need to eat tomorrow to hit your nutrition goals. Have an idea what type of food is going to get you that protein. And don't give me an excuse that you don't know how to find this out. I mean, come on. Living in the world of 2017, the how is the least amount of your issues. If you just aren't sure, you type in Google, hey, how do I get my protein? What are the best protein sources? How much protein is in this? How much is in that, right? You can find this in 2 seconds, right? So that's clearly not an excuse. And of course, I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's easy to have the information. And there's really no excuse not to sit down and actually put this on paper and create a little meal plan for yourself. Create a little plan. Create a plan of execution so you know what is the default. And once you have that default, then you can easily go back to that and fall back on that. And you're not going to be perfect anyway, right? There's no way you're going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. I've been doing this for 6 years and I'm nowhere near perfect. I still screw up once or twice a week, right? It's normal. It's normal to screw up. But most of the time, I'm on point. And that's the whole point of it, that I'm doing the best I can. And the more I've done it, the closer I was to my ideal day every single day. So it's kind of becoming more habitual. So it's becoming more automated, and I need to put less effort into it now, and it's kind of maintaining itself because it's been turned into a habit. So going back again to goal setting, have a clear vision, but also have a reality check. Really break it down to behaviors, break it down to very specific things you need to do every single day, and have expectations that it's going to be a little bit harder, right? It is not going to be easy. And very similarly, I mean, you could go to the gym. Let's say you go to the gym, you come back home, you look at yourself in the mirror, nothing, no effect, right? You go tomorrow, look at yourself in the mirror, no effect. Go again. For 1 month, you're just going there, looking at yourself in the mirror, no effect. But something weird happens. If you keep doing that for 1 year, all of a sudden you're in great shape. What the hell happened there? When was the threshold passed that you turned into great shape? It's really hard to kind of pinpoint the exact time, but it is going to happen if you follow a proven process. And I talk about the proven process in pretty much every single one of my videos. It is about the caloric deficit, the protein, the exercise, the sleep, eating whole, healthy, unprocessed foods. These are proven to work, right? These facts work. And if you trust the process, and if you simply endure and persist enough, even though if you fall off track, it's fine. I mean, just restart it. You know, that Edge of Tomorrow movie, and I really love that comment that made, I read the other day on one of my videos. It's like kind of the Edge of Tomorrow Tom Cruise movie where he wakes up after he gets killed in a battle, but he's in some kind of time loop. So every time he gets killed, he's brought back before the battle, so he actually has a chance to change the outcome again. So he's always dying and coming back. That's kind of similar to what we're doing. Every day we're reborn with new enthusiasm, with new motivation. We can attack the day with intensity. We can attack the day with higher willpower, with more energy. And we can make that day close to that perfect day that we have planned. And every day is a new chance to do that. And it doesn't matter if you miss one day, if you fall off track one day. It doesn't matter at all, because you can just do it tomorrow, right? And there's really one trait that I see that the most successful guys and girls who do this in their first or second year, and they really are successful with it, and despite the fact that technically a lot of people give up in their situation, is that they simply bounce back fast after they gave up. And that's the biggest trait that I've seen with a lot of people who are successful with this. So hope this was helpful for you. Hope the goal setting and a little bit of motivational talk for you was helpful and kind of a reminder of the fundamentals for how to reach your goal. Subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Make sure to leave a comment below. Have any questions? Aside from that, as I said, hit that subscribe button below to support the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.